My typo just made the coolest headline ever.
What
Think
typo?
about it. We're about to talk about the Chicago Bulls right now, right? About tearing down the Chicago Bulls, right?
Hmm.
We're going to talk about if that's necessary. But I accidentally misspelled it and I said bull tear down. That rhymes with full tear down. That is the coolest headline.
Bull
So
tear
I'm going
down.
to go
Full
with
tear
that.
down.
Should the Chicago Bulls go bull tear down? Freddie, I'll start with you.
Man, you know, there's not enough there. It's like, what are you doing? Like last year, you had the rules in taking the biggest H32 leap I've ever seen in my life. This never happens. And you figure he will come back somewhat down to earth. And you have Sack, who's a legit piece. I'm big on Sack. I think you drop him on any squad, he's gonna give you 25, 5 and 5. And that's a legit piece on any team. But is he gonna be healthy enough? You know, Lonzo Ball just started jumping. Like, bro, Lonzo just started jumping. And Vucevic hasn't, you know what I mean? Like, he's he's not a legit piece. He's a nice piece when you have a loaded team. Like you drop him on a team like the Celtics with Tatum, with Brown, with all these other pieces, then he can, be an impact player. But for what Chicago needs him to be, you know what I mean? Like, and if you flip everybody, you go full teardown. This is a good year to do it because of how good the top of the draft is. And you're already sitting down there. It's not an awful idea to, you know, Levine, DeRozan, Vucevic, they already at the height of their prime or right there. This is not a championship team. This is not a contending team in the East. So it's like, yeah, it just makes sense to me. It just makes sense to blow it up.
Zach?
Yeah, I mean, like just completely logically, like I know there's some teams that are competent with just making the playoffs some years, but if this team's goal and this organization's goal is to win a championship at some point, tearing down makes sense. I mean, the team doesn't really have cap space in the future. Your number 4 draft pick in 2020, Patrick Williams, has not panned out like a number 4 draft pick should. They don't have too much, young talent in the system right now. Dalen Terry hasn't played very much. He was their first round pick this year. I don't trust Lonzo Ball's health. I don't trust Zach LaVine's health a lot. I don't think this team is a championship number one. I don't know what their path is to getting that. Um, like they might not even have their draft pick this year. It's top 4 protected to the Magic. I don't think they land a top 4 picks. I don't think they're gonna have a first round draft pick this year. I think they might have one from a different team, though. I'm not too sure. But like if your goal is to win a championship at some point, yeah, you probably should tear it down right now. But I mean, we'll see what happens. It could be a really interesting deadline if they try to ship out their top 2 guys.
What about you, Charleston?
The Bulls are 17th right now in defensive rating, and they're 19th in offensive rating. They're the wrong kind of middle of the boat, where they're not middle of the road improving, they're middle of the road getting older. And if they were, let's say if they were in the playoffs, I think that the front office would just be like, all right, we'll just let this season run through. We'll lose in the first round, and we'll try and do something in the offseason, right? I think that would be a very logical way of moving about this, because the NBA is a business, let's be honest, and teams want to make the playoffs because it makes them a shit ton of money, right? So
Agreed.
that's the on the one hand. But they're not. They're the 11th seed. They're not even in a play-in spot. I think currently right now they're like, I think they're like,
Are they 12?
They're 11th or 12th, and they're like,
Something like that.
I think they have 16 wins or something like that. They're not playing well for sure. And then you look at who's on the roster, and like Freddie was saying, Lonzo Ball's been dealing with whatever he's been dealing with for the last 2 years. He's done for this year. He might not play next year. right? So if you're looking for improvement there, it's not coming. I don't see Dalen Terry or Patrick Williams ever being more than they already currently are. Ayo Dosunmu, I think, is a guy that you could build around as a young guard, but that's kind of like fringe because even he's not playing as well this year as he was last year. Kobe White is a guy you should just move because he's losing value. He's bleeding value right now. And then there's DeRozan, who I think is a perfect fit on multiple rosters in the league right now, specifically the Suns and the Knicks. And Zach LaVine as well on the Knicks, Mavs, and Magic. I think both of those players could get you a minimum of 5 to 7 first-round picks, depending on how smart you are with your draft date, with your February 14th trade deadline deals. I think it is the 14th. So depending on how smart you are, I think the Bulls could make a lot of nice moves, move up in the draft this year. I think Vucevic is a dead contract that you just let walk in the offseason, but I think the Bulls can make a nice little redo where they shed all this salary, they make good draft choices, and then you have a young roster with Ayo Dosunmu, Patrick Williams, and Dalen Terry somewhere floating around, these really solid young pieces that we could get seeing come in the NBA. The Thompson twins, Scooter, and Wembanyama.
Yeah, that random French guy. I forgot his name.
I know, he's just in and out of my head all the time.
We practically never see coverage on him, so it's easy to forget.
Yeah. We only see him on the NBA app like 9 times a day. But
Yeah.
The giraffe of a man, Victor.
I've
Wembanyama.
never seen someone promoted that much by the NBA. Not even close. Never seen anything like it.
Hey, bro's finna have the biggest rookie contract in NBA history, like 20 million or some fucking shit.
Yeah, watch them like boost the number 1 draft pick salary just for him.
I've been
He's gonna
following
deserve
him
it.
since he was 13 years old. I've been following his Instagram since he had Squidward as his profile picture.
You're
That's
lying.
You're a day-
I've followed.
You're a day
Listen.
one, James.
Yeah, man.
Day one. I remember following him my freshman year of high school, which was 5 years ago now.
How
So-
tall was he day one?
7'2" at that time.
Oh,
He's gonna thank you in his retirement speech when he gets in the Hall of Fame.
Thank you, James, my day one subscriber, for following me, even though I had Squidward as my pick.
Hey, Victor, you should come on the pod. I think it'd be a great platform for you to show yourself to the world.
Victor, pull up on
Great.
the pod. We'll speak French with you.
Yeah, we'll get your name out there. But yeah, back to the Chicago Bulls. Charleston, I am shocked that they're actually 17th, the defensive rating that you mentioned that. I thought it was way worse than that. That's actually
did
a good. The offense being 19th isn't surprising because Zach started the year hurt and they don't have many creators on that roster, and I remember when the Timberwolves, I was at the Bulls and Timberwolves game. And when I was thinking about Vucevic, guys, you guys remember how Patrick Beverley described Chris Paul as a cone on defense on national television?
Oh, yeah.
Nikola Vucevic is a staircase at the rim. He's literally a staircase. You could just walk up and just dunk the shot. Like, he is one of the worst rim protectors in the NBA. He is in his 30s now. There's no upside there.
Yeah.
You miss trades sometimes. They miss that trade. You got to trade him. I think you got to move DeMar DeRozan while his value is high, especially if you don't want to pay him a ton of money late in his 30s because he wants an extension this summer. Zach LaVine is 27 years old, which is a good age, but he already has knee problems, and you never know how that goes. Like, I think his game ages well, but how much is he on the court, right? So there's not a ton of upside here. Yeah, the Magic have their pick this year, but it's top 4 protected. So I think taking a step back, trading these guys and giving yourself a chance to get in that top 4, I think that's worth it by itself. It's one of those drafts. Regardless if you have the 7th pick or the Magic have the 7th pick, you're going to be disappointed regardless. So take a swing at it. Take a swing at the number 1 pick because there's still an off chance you can get up that high. So I think you got to deal assets. I think you get a lot for DeMar. I don't think New York is a good fit. I just kind of cringe of thinking Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett, and DeMar DeRozan shooting 9 quadrillion mid-range shots a game. That's
Think of it.
Oh, yeah.
Think of the gorgeous mid-range jumpers. Oh, yes.
That is going to be the most hideous 41 wins of my life.
Oh, think about it. Just imagine a world in which the NBA wasn't in the modern area, but instead back when like John Havlicek played and there was no 3-point line. That would be like what watching the Knicks games would be like.
You know, at that time, bro, Biggs ran the
Doesn't.
league. You know, at that time, Biggs ran the league. Nobody wanted to shoot mid-range shots in the 70s. It was, okay, give me Wilt Chamberlain. He's going to just dunk it on you. Everybody hated mid-range shots back then. It hasn't changed.
Dozens of mid-range.
I just think that would be ugly. DeMar DeRozan, I disagree, has to be on a very specific team.
Phoenix.
Like, it's really hard to be a third option mid-range shooter. That is so hard. If you're going to be a mid-range shooter, you have to be a second option. So I think like a Grizzlies make the most sense for DeMar, but that's a different conversation. But
I actually like that fit a lot. Dylan
Yeah,
Brooks, Steven Adams, first round
trade
pick.
Brooks, get him the heck out of Memphis. Honestly, make an entire city of 9 million people hate him. That'd make me even happier. But I'm just kidding. But yeah, Chicago is in a spot of mediocrity. I think you get a decent amount for Zach, especially with how he's played since late November. He's been averaging 25 points a game, which I thought was coming. I didn't think he was as bad as he was in the beginning of the year. He was coming back from injury. You know, just trade these guys. Like Patrick Williams been disappointed, but he's kind of been like shoved in a box the beginning of his career offensively. See what he has, right? I even think in that case, just keep Kobe White because you're still not getting much from him regardless. And Ayo Dosunmu, you know, they got some young pieces. Dalen Terry is probably an Alex Caruso type player if he hits. So might as well trade Alex Caruso as well. You're not trading Lonzo, I guess keep him. Like, there's no reason to keep this team together. Chicago Bull fans are upset. You can tell from Kenny on YouTube, you know. So, yeah, there's really no reason to keep this core together.